All right. My name is Michael Hoff, part of the Face Off Sports Network, and today we're giving you three quarterbacks to start, three to sit for Week 8 already of the NFL season. Let's just jump right into it right now. The first quarterback we're going to start is Jameis Winston going up against the Baltimore Ravens. Let's be honest with one another. Jameis Winston as a starting quarterback breathes new life into this Browns offense. It helps too coming into this matchup that the Ravens, for as good as the Ravens are, it's a hell of a matchup for Jameis Winston to be making his first start in. The Ravens right now are allowing the third most points of quarterbacks and lead the league with 3 games of allowing 30-plus points to the quarterback position. They are the only team in the NFL that has done so thus far. More specifically, in the last 3 weeks alone, the Ravens are allowing an average of 30.27 points. So, listen, we know the history of Jameis Winston. We know there's a lot of risk. We know that there's going to be interceptions, but there's going to be a lot of big plays. There's going to be a lot of touchdowns. He's the old 30 for 30 guy, and that's why we love him, especially in fantasy football circles. So, to me, I don't see how you don't start Jameis Winston this week, especially if you're up against with the quarterback position. I know no teams are on bye, but if you're in a deep enough league where you need a quarterback right now, he's better than a lot of the options out there, and he's going to be a top 12 quarterback this week. And he's going to be better than some of the sits I'm going to give you in just a little bit. But we'll get to the other start. We're going to go from Cleveland and Baltimore to San Francisco and Dallas. Yes, that's right. The 49ers and the Cowboys square off in Santa Clara for the second year in a row on Sunday Night Football. Even with the 3 interceptions last week, Brock Purdy still was a quarterback who scored 20-plus points. Last year against the Cowboys, he had his third highest scoring game of the year with 26.1 points scored. Yes, the Cowboys are coming off their bye, but they're still allowing the 13th most points to the quarterback position. They're also dealing with a lot of injuries on the defensive side of the ball. I think, listen, there's the injury to Brandon Ayuk right now as of this viewing. Debo might play. Debo's out of the hospital. Kyle Shanahan did articulate that even though Debo has not practiced this week and most likely will not in full, there's a good chance that he could still play potentially. So you'll still have Debo out there. You'll still have Kittle out there. Hopefully they get Juwan Jennings back. You've got Ricky Pearsall, who people are very excited about in fantasy circles with Ayuk being out of the way now. So to me, there is still opportunity here for Brock Purdy to have himself another 20-point performance. So those are 2 of the quarterbacks I'm going to start so far. Jameis Winston, Brock Purdy. Let's get to our other start. This one's a little bit lower in the food chain, but he's lucky with the matchup. That's Mr. Bo Nix, rookie for the Denver Broncos. Step right up, Bo Nix, because you get to play the Carolina Panthers. Everybody loves to play the Panthers. Panthers right now represent one of 5 teams allowing 20 or more points on a per-game basis to the quarterback position. It's been absolutely brutal. Listen, they even made Marcus Mariota look good last week. Marcus Mariota was a top 12 quarterback last week because he went up against the Carolina Panthers. Nix has 2 games with 20-plus points scored. Both of those games have come in the last 3 weeks. So I think with Bo Nix, it's very much matchup dependent with him until he really gets his bearings here in the NFL, which I believe he eventually will. But for right now, you have to play the matchups. This is the matchup. This is a matchup for literally any guy playing quarterback. It could be you or me playing quarterback, but if we're going up against Carolina Panthers, there's an opportunity for us to succeed. So Bo Nix against the Carolina Panthers, home run, absolutely start, in my opinion. Let's get to some sits. This one might be a little controversial, but I'm sitting Kyler Murray. Now, listen to me. This has so little to do with Kyler Murray. This isn't a slight at Kyler Murray. This is more so a heads up as to what the Miami Dolphins defense has done. With everything going on in Miami, the injury to Tua, every skill position player has been struggling. It's been chaos and confusion. Everybody thinks Mike McDaniel has suddenly gone from an offensive wizard to a bumbling fool. But their defense has done well against quarterbacks. And how well, you ask? Not only are the Dolphins allowing the fewest points to the position in the league, they are the only team in the NFL right now allowing less than 10 points on a per game basis to the quarterback position. The only team. Think about all the defenses you see. Think about how good the Broncos have been. Think about how good the Bears have been. They're the only team, the Dolphins, in the NFL allowing less than 10 points on a per game basis. That was even against Geno Smith, by the way. Geno Smith back in week 3, which, by the way, the Seahawks lead the league in pass attempts. Geno Smith was only able to muster 13 points against the Miami Dolphins. They also went against Josh Allen. And Josh Allen went ahead, and he had less than 10 points that week as well. So I think this is an absolute slam dunk, in my opinion, for all the wrong reasons, why I would sit Kyler Murray this week. I think, listen, is Kyler Murray still going to make some plays? Sure. But do I think he's scoring more than 20 points? Absolutely not. Do I think he's finishing outside the top 12? Yes, I am. So if you're in a 12 QB league, he is a sit option for me. A considerable one. So I would definitely look into that. By the way, last thing, ultimately, quarterbacks going up against the Miami Dolphins have an average finish of QB 25. The average finish is QB 25. Not great, Bob. So Kyler Murray is somebody I would be looking to sit in week 8. Again, this has so little to do with what Kyler Murray has done and so much more to do with what the Dolphins are doing to the quarterback position for fantasy. Let's get to our next sit option. This one shouldn't be as controversial, I don't believe. It's going to be the Commanders quarterbacks, whether it's Jayden Daniels, who I think is going to sit this week, or if it's going to be Marcus Mariota. Again, I mentioned this earlier. Marcus Mariota finished as a QB9 last week, but that was against the Carolina Panthers. The Bears are a completely different story, who, by the way, are coming off of a bye week. But unlike the Cowboys, who I mentioned earlier, coming off of a bye, the Bears don't have as demonstrative as defensive injuries as the Cowboys do. So we got the Chicago Bears, who are, by the way, there was only 3 teams that have yet to allow a 20-point game to the quarterback position. One of them is the Dolphins, who I already mentioned. The other one is the Chicago Bears. So, and to also put that in perspective, you had Marcus Mariota finishing as a QB9. The Panthers defense he played they have allowed so many points to quarterbacks. They have allowed 77.7 points more than the Chicago Bears have allowed to the quarterback position. So it's going to be a much different animal here for Marcus Mariota, assuming he's the guy that goes. If it's Jayden Daniels, I don't know if you want to run him out there either. The Bears are 7th in sack percentage. They're also allowing the 3rd fewest first downs on a per-game basis. So I think this is a prime opportunity for Dan Quinn to just say, you know what, maybe we don't need to put Jayden Daniels out there this week. So regardless of who it is, if it's Jayden Daniels, if it's Marcus Mariota, they're sitting for me. If I can go to my last sit suggestion, and then we will round this sucker out. I'll tell you guys before I get to this last one, feel free to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. You'll be notified every single time we go live or we put out any kind of content. Fantastic work we're doing. It's Anthony Richardson of the Indianapolis Colts visiting the Houston Texans. Listen, the Texans are tied for 5th in the NFL with 7 interceptions. And we've seen what Anthony Richardson has done from a completion percentage standpoint. If there's something that bodes well for Anthony Richardson, it would be the fact that up until this point, the Houston Texans are allowing, right here, I have it right here, they are top 5. No, they're actually 3rd in the NFL in most rushing yards allowed to the quarterback with 197. So, yeah, they're going to allow some rushing yards to Anthony Richardson potentially, but they've only allowed 1 rushing touchdown to quarterbacks. So if you get some yards, but you're not getting a touchdown, and if you're not completing a lot of passes, so therefore you're not getting a lot of passing yards, it's not going to bode well for you. And to me, there's always this injury risk with Anthony Richardson. Listen, we always said Anthony Richardson during the offseason, he's the most volatile player in fantasy. Well, we're finding that out for all the wrong reasons right now because he is delivering dud after dud after dud except for week 1, and then also he gets hurt. So there's a potential he gets hurt. There's a potential he's throwing interceptions because he doesn't have great accuracy. So if he runs for some yards, but he's still throwing picks, it's not great for me. So I can't trust Anthony Richardson until he does this consistently. So there are my 3 starts. There are my 3 sits for week 8. Again, the starts, Jameis Winston, Brock Purdy, Bo Nix. My sits are going to be Kyler Murray, Jayden Daniels, or Marcus Mariota, whoever's under center for the Commanders, and Anthony Richardson. But that is going to do it